All right, we'll start next episode in 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Tom Gray. Welcome to This Stuff Matters, the podcast. This is for release date Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. And we began in our last episode around the conviction that I trust we believe things need to change. Well, let's take it a step further. Let's make it actionable, make it personal. Let's gain some momentum in this movement. And so today we want to focus around just the basic belief that I believe we can change the world. I believe we can make a difference. And I don't know, hang with me on this one for a minute or two, because this is a tough one perhaps to swallow. And in fact, I believe one of the greatest enemies against changing what needs to be changed in the direction it needs to change is this dogged little nagging sense that it's beyond us. The task is bigger than we can pull off. I don't know that we have the power to do it. And so it's super easy for all of us to kind of retreat into passivity, to kind of withdraw like the turtle into his shell and just go, you know what? The challenges are more immense, more numerous than can be handled or tackled. So forget it. I'm just gonna look after me and mine. I'm just gonna try to make sure my little, I'm gonna tighten the borders of my little world and kind of put up my walls and defenses and just try to eke it out and survive here on my own. So let me just speak to that, and I hope you'll hear me as it relates to you, because we are leading a revolution of souls and society. As it relates to your soul, don't you ever believe for a second that that the change is needed to make steps in the direction of health, of fulfillment, of peace, of security, of worth, of those things that are the essence of the condition of your soul, which I do think matters most. That you can't, you're too old of a dog to learn new tricks, as the adage goes, or the patterns even in your family perhaps have been so generationally cemented that there's no breaking free from them for you. Or perhaps just the patterns in your own practice. You've kind of gotten in habits that now truthfully are addictions, and that all of that kind of amounts to a juggernaut of power you cannot overcome. Okay, let's just call it out, and I hope you'll hear me. That's just not true. Those things are not true. The changes, if there's anything that's true of human nature, it's that human nature can exercise its will to make changes. In fact, I want to go to the heart of where every good coach who steps into a locker room to take over the reins of a hurting and dying program that's on the ropes and turns it around like Nick Saban did with Alabama in 2007. The three previous coaches over 10 years had 4 losing seasons. The first thing to see things turn around, and we've already said, hey, things have got to change. The first thing a coach will do is step in and say, we need a new identity. We need new clarity on our actual identity. What happens as things decline, and what's happening in our society, maybe what's been happening to you personally, is over a period of time, you begin to believe things about your identity. You begin to believe things that are destructive and at their core are not true. And so you step into a program, I would argue just about any, if we're talking college football, any program has the potential to be winners, but there are many who are losers. And through the series of losing and through the series of doing things the wrong way and doing things the ways that losers do things, they begun to adopt and embrace a loser identity. They see themselves as losers. And so the first things first, and here's where we're going to start today, is that's not who you are. That is not who we are. We are winners, and we've got to start seeing ourselves as winners. And the first belief at the root of changing that whole identity, changing all the outcomes that come from the changed identity, is we can change. Maybe we have been on a losing streak. Maybe we've been doing things like losers, but we do not have to stay doing it that way. We do not have to stay with that identity. Now, I'm using Alabama as a reference. Of course, Nick Saban, one of our easy go-to examples in this. And you could say Kirby Smart, even though, man, oh man, the 15 years prior to Kirby Smart, I'm a huge Mark Richt fan. They'd come off of 2 10-3 seasons, only one losing season in 15 years of Mark Richt. And yet there was this committee somewhere at Georgia, I don't know who was on the committee, said, we got to make a change. Things have got to change. I understand where Alabama was coming from when they hired Nick Saban. They were at, 4 losing seasons out of the last 10. We have got to make a change. So that's just an example that there could be varying degrees of suffering or falling short of potential that drive that passion to say something's gotta change. But somewhere over in Athens, there was some group of guys that 2 10-3 seasons was not what they were picturing, and maybe they just sensed some fatigue in Coach Richt. I don't know, but to me, things looked great. But things like Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, what they've obviously done, taking things to the level that we all would like to live at, and like our organizations, and in our case, our society, is where we want America to be. Now, I'm going to go to a different illustration, not Kirby Smart or Nick Saban, because this one really was powerful to me. So just indulge me for a minute, if you would. Those of you that heard me before, or kind of know me a little bit. Yeah, man, I'm one of those. It's a painful thing to admit, but I am a huge Vanderbilt Commodore football fan. Yeah, me and 10 other people in the world, but it's okay. And so nobody in the SEC fans, you guys know, nobody's been the perennial doormat like Vanderbilt. I mean, if you did a preseason poll any year, you're gonna pick Vanderbilt at the bottom, or at least close to the bottom. But here's the deal: even my Vanderbilt Commodores can win. And we have an example of that from the last few years. Dan, let's take a little break here for a second. Sorry, all of a sudden I totally drew a blank on my coach, James Franklin. All right, got it. All right, let's pick it up right back there. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. So in Vanderbilt football history, which I'm sure you all are shrewd students of, in recent history, when James Franklin stepped in to be our head coach, he's now obviously the head coach at Penn State. And by the way, our new coach, I'm anticipating similar kinds of results from him. Clark Lee is incredible. But James Franklin specifically stepped in at his very first press conference, kind of shook at least any of us who cared. And the whole message was, no. We are going to be about pursuing and accomplishing championships. And so task 1 was a redo of identity. As he stepped into the locker room, as he stepped into the whole organization, and said, no, we're not losers anymore. And so it starts with this belief, but not a belief disconnected from anything substantive, a belief that was inseparably and integrally connected to practices, other beliefs that serve as a root system upon which to grow something beautiful and productive. But it starts with this: who are we? What is our essence, the essence of our nature? And at the heart of that, the answer to that question is we can change. We are not locked into being what we have been. We are going to be different. And so Vanderbilt had come off of, obviously mostly losing seasons. And in 2 of James Franklin's years, check this out. We had 9 win seasons. I mean, how incredible is that? In one of those years, we beat Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee in the same season. It can be done. And here's the reality: is you look at you. I don't care what your patterns are. I don't care if they seemingly have been cemented generationally. The nature of what it means to be human, made in the image of God with that capacity, is you are not locked in. You can change. You can embrace your true identity. You can build a life that is rewarding and meaningful at the deepest level. You can see a transformation of your soul, and your soul condition matters. And now we translate that out to the interactivity that we have between us in our society. Is we can influence a change in society. And we're going to take it one step at a time. But it begins with this step. We can make a difference. Now, you'll see where we go with this. We're going to focus on what we can control. We can't always control outcomes, but it starts with the acknowledgement, the belief that I am an agent of influence, and things don't have to stay the way they have been. Things don't have to keep going the way they are. If we will come together, if we will do those things that winners do, and do them enough, and do them with enough consistency and intensity and enough focus, things do change. They did under James Franklin. They did under Nick Saban. They did under Kirby Smart. And they will if we'll come together and get this. You keep tuning in. It will. I'll invest in your soul. You'll see. You can change. And by the way, do you know that you're made as a three-part person? You have a body, you have a soul, and you have a spirit. 3 in 1. They're all integrated. And that lie that we're tempted to believe, that somehow those things of the soul level, we can never change. We're kind of cemented or locked in at some point in life or whatever. So not true. Just for an illustration, let me give you this. Do you believe your body changes? Do you apply that same false and faulty thinking to the condition of your body, that part of you? Of course not. You know your body changes. In fact, it's wild how over the course of a human life, even allergies, you can pick up new allergies, you can overcome old allergies. The chemical makeup of your body changes. And of course, if you've gone anywhere down the road in the aging process, it changes for the negative. So let's learn from our bodies. Your body changes. Why in the world would you think for a second that your soul can't change or that your spirit can't change? The essence of what really matters. So it can, and it will. You stick with me. You tune in, and then let's amplify that truth to the broader context. When we come together, we figure out the identity that we need to build around. We can turn this around. It has to change. I believe things need to change. I know you feel that way too. Let's take that. Here we go. Episode 2 here. I believe we can change the world. And that's what we're going to get after together. You help me build this, not audience, but army. Let's build this movement, this revolution. We are going to lead a revolution of souls and society. We'll get clear on who we are and what beliefs need to drive us. As long as we're willing to make some of those changes on the soul level, we will see the changes begin to happen on the society level. All right, join me in this. Download the episode, share the episode. It's not too late to get your tickets to the This Stuff Matters live event coming up on Wednesday, September the 14th at Maggiano's Little Italy in the Cumberland Mall area here, kind of near Truist Park in the Atlanta area. The doors will open at 11:45. You got to get your tickets. It's a $20 ticket. The meal costs more than that itself, much less the value of the program. Bring coworkers, bring family, bring whomever you want that day. We are capping the space. The room has a little limitation there, so please go ahead and get your ticket secured ahead of time as soon as you can. Let others know about it. I look forward to seeing you there. And again, please call me. Leave me a voice message. Bring any question, any idea, any suggestion. What are you working on the soul level for personal change and revolution? And what change do you believe we need to give attention to as a society as much as or more than anything else? Pay attention to it. The number will be in the show notes, but if you want it right now, it's 678-453-6774. You can also reach out to me at thisstuffmatters.net. Thank you so much for being a part of this revolution of souls in society. All right. I'll look forward to connecting with you next week. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters. All right, Dan, that's good.